Imagine, just for a second, that there was a perfect, proven college essay formula that's worked year after year, which could not only take the stress off of your shoulders, but instantly double your odds of getting into your dream school. Well, my dear virtual little sibling, this is it. First, I'm going to analyze this essay about being half-deaf, which helped one of our seniors get into Brown and Yale a few years back. Then, I'll explain key concepts and techniques, like the golden ratio, the second solution, how to humble brag, and more. By the way, guys, I'm Kevin, Yale grad, amateur breakdancer, and pro college counselor who's helped dozens of seniors from every background imaginable get into every single top 20 American college and university for the past 5 years in a row. What you're watching right now is the final video in our Common App template formula series, and honestly, this one right here is the most popular and the easiest one to master. While some of the other structures are a little bit more advanced and fancy, they may require specific circumstances or advanced writing skills. This one does not. Here, my friends, is how it works. First, you start with a problem, 3 to 4 sentences tops, and the more unusual, the more dramatic the problem, the better. Although there have been many cases, successful cases, where students have written about common everyday problems and found a lot of meaning and joy in those too. In the past, some of our students have written about teaching robotics to kids at a non-housing shelter, playing the violin at a hospital, at an impromptu wedding for a patient with a terminal brain tumor, or simply an epic lightsaber battle with their younger brother. Rather than droning on and on about how this structure works, why don't I just show you using this essay where the following student realized that they were half deaf. A quick note when it comes to medical conditions. Generally speaking, I wouldn't recommend making it your main Common App essay topic, but this essay here is a perfect example of how to make it work. Why? Because this student focuses on leadership, humor, and above all, community impact, as opposed to writing 60-70% of their essay about the injury or the condition itself. Also, and this is incredibly important, he spends twice as much time discussing his solution compared to the problem. The most important principle in this entire video, honestly in this entire series, is to spend twice as much time talking about your solutions as opposed to your problems. Okay, let's take a look. My left cochlea is broken. I'm half deaf. I didn't know normal people could hear out of both ears until I was 13. My mom discovered my condition one day when I was doing the cliche teenager act of listening to music with one earbud in and the other earbud dangling out. With the music at full blast in my left ear, the sound from the other earbud reverberated throughout the entire living room. My mom yelled at me, "Chris, you're gonna go deaf in that ear." "Mom, it's okay, I'm playing music in the left ear, the one people can't hear out of." Shocked, my mother rushed to the cabinet and despite my objections, immediately started shoving Q-tips down my left ear, claiming it was just an earwax buildup. Ironically, being half deaf has actually made me learn how to speak up. In elementary and middle school, I was too scared to ask teachers questions or even friends to repeat themselves. But after learning binaural hearing was a universal thing, I began using my free pass to ask people to repeat themselves until I could hear and understand exactly what they were trying to say. I have also taught myself how to read lips, strikingly useful for tuning into unsuspecting students across the cafeteria. In fact, it's kind of like my very own superpower. Sure, I have to work twice as hard to hear and use 2 different senses, but I find that it's actually easier to absorb new ideas and empathize with others because of this extra effort. During my sophomore year, I was talking to Clarence, a new student at my school, and despite riddling the conversation with interjections of, "What?" I received one of the most surprising comments. "Dude, you're one of the most patient listeners I've ever met. I wouldn't mind you being my SGA president." "What?" I joked with him. "Can you say that again?" "I didn't hear you." As a child, I remember eating cookie cake in the corner of the room during birthday parties because my conversations were so awkward. It's precisely because of this conversational ineptitude that I possessed for the majority of my life that inspired me to create more opportunities for quality interaction, for people to share their opinions and be heard. I ended up taking Clarence's advice and was absolutely blown away when the rest of the student body voted for me as SGA president. But once the shock faded, I immediately got to work hosting spikeball tournaments, movie nights, student-led music festivals, any kind of event where people can gather, listen, and chat. My proudest accomplishment was an event which took place right before junior exams, when the stress of the COVID-infested year, was clearly taking a toll on everyone. In an effort to promote Frisbee and alleviate test anxiety, I somehow convinced my principal to allow us access to the school football stadium at 5 a.m. on a Wednesday for a glow-in-the-dark ultimate Frisbee game. I expected just the serious disc players, but the turnout was insane. Teachers who I have never had brought donuts. Parents showed up with extra glow sticks, and some students even got out of their morning athletics just to be there. A wave of wholesomeness washed over me as I watched football players teach the band kids how to throw a Frisbee and the senior girls chase down toddlers. There was something so genuinely heartwarming about watching these unlikely friendships form. From being an absolute menace in libraries to becoming SGA president, I've seen my disability transform from an inconvenience to a blessing. Most of the time, I can't even hear my name during a roll call. Truth be told, I never thought I could listen to and help the needs of an entire community. But now that I know I can, I want to act as a human megaphone for others and to create environments where I'm able to help people speak up and speak out. To begin, what's so amazing about the double problem solution essay is its simplicity. Now earlier I mentioned the golden ratio. Here it is, 20% problem, 60% solution, and 20% reflection. This goes for all the essay structures we recommend, not just the double problem solution one. But where the double problem solution essay differs is that you begin with a problem, then an initial solution, which sometimes fails or doesn't work perfectly right off the bat. So this leads you to a second problem and then a second solution, which helps the community at large. By the way, folks, don't forget to like and subscribe because later this fall, I will be editing your college essays completely for free right here on YouTube. Last year, quite a few of our subscribers actually got into their dream school after I workshopped their essays on a live stream anonymously, so that could be you too. Let's return to the initial problem. If you guys are struggling to come up with a really awesome hook, a captivating opening, this is what I'd recommend. Drop us straight into the conflict or problem. It doesn't have to be crazy or life-threatening. I've seen tons of examples of funny, mundane situations work too. My left cochlea is broken. I'm half deaf. This line instantly makes the reader curious about the author's life and effectively articulates the central problem of the essay. Admittedly, this initial introduction and problem section is a little bit on the longer side, but we can kind of let it slide since this author incorporates humor and there's also some solid showing in that next paragraph. Instead of simply telling the reader, my mom and I realized I was half deaf, they show this by writing, my mom discovered my condition one day when I was listening to music with one earbud in and the other dangling out. With the music in full blast in my left ear, the sound from the other earbud reverberated throughout the entire living room. Not only is there a clear picture, but there's also a clear sound. Typically, great showing evokes 2 or more senses. Of course, there's sight, but don't forget about sound, touch, and even taste. Speaking of hooks, another awesome tip I always tell our students is to combine the problem hook with another type of hook, like the question hook or the dialogue hook. In fact, a really simple way to elevate this hook right here, right now, is to add quotations. Check this out. Imagine if we wrote something like, "Can you repeat that? My cochlea is broken. I'm half deaf." Now, at Elevated, we define problem not just things happening to you, but any general background information or context. The one exception to the rule where maybe you want to include a little bit more problem is if you've had a super duper unusual, difficult, atypical upbringing. But even then, it might be better to write about that in the additional information section of the Common App. Or sometimes it sounds even better coming from your guidance counselor or from some other teacher. If you've moved home 6 times or you had to commute 2 hours to school each way, those details actually sound better coming from your guidance counselor or history teacher's letter of recommendation. Moving on to the solution. After humorously introducing their medical problem, the author talks about how they adapted to the situation by acquiring this new superpower, the ability to read lips. They also talk about how this skill led to more personal and emotional growth, thereby enabling them to more easily absorb new ideas and empathize with others. Generally speaking, the first solution tends to be a bit more internal and focused on intellectual curiosity. In short, it centers on you, not others. But when it comes to the second problem and the second solution, you most definitely need to expand to society at large. While the first problem is a bit more unique, not a lot of people are half deaf, The second problem is honestly a pretty relatable one. Feeling a little bit socially awkward, especially during school settings. To be honest, this section right here, I think it's one of the weaker parts of the essay, but at the same time, it's kind of proof that you don't need to have found a cure to Alzheimer's or ended world poverty or even written the best college essay in existence in order to get into your dream school. Let's talk about the second solution. This is arguably the most important part of your essay. If you learn anything from this video, it should be this. You have to talk about how the personal growth in solution 1 has now transformed you into a better leader, a better person, someone who has made a bigger and better impact on the folks around you. So many kids are just completely missing this section in their application. It's crazy. The goal is to show that you can help folks other than yourself. Instead of saying, I am one of the most patient listeners out there, he gets Clarence to articulate it. So simple, so effective. In fact, this is the same technique that I used in my own Common App essay to help me get into Yale, Princeton, and a bunch of other schools. So if you guys want to check that out, visit here or here. I can never get these corners right. Okay, so after being elected president, this student remembered all the times they struggled in social situations due to their disability. To make sure no one else felt that way, they immediately got to work hosting spike ball tournaments, movie nights, student-led music festivals, any kind of event where people can gather, listen, and chat. The cherry on top, the climax, was of course this beautiful glow-in-the-dark 5 a.m. ultimate frisbee game where there were students, teachers, families, toddlers, football players, everyone. Also, check out how even without dialogue, the author is able to illuminate, I guess you could say, this beautiful glow-in-the-dark frisbee game by adding in specific details like football players teaching the band kids how to throw a frisbee and seeing the senior girls chase down toddlers. Great showing is a function of specific nouns plus active verbs. And now it's time for one of the best parts of this essay, the takeaway. The idea here is actually pretty simple. They went from struggling to listen to now an advocate for others. But what really makes this reflection shine isn't the core message, it's the execution, the flow. What do I mean by that? Well, check out the humor here and the puns. That, my friends, is the secret sauce. What I personally love about this takeaway is how humble, honest, and authentic it sounds, pun intended. The casual tone of truth be told and using simpler words like I want to act as a human megaphone for others and to create environments where I'm able to help people speak up and speak out, that's what makes it sound so genuine. This paragraph also features an incredible reframe. It makes it crystal clear to the reader and to the admissions officer that what was once viewed as a disability, is now actually a blessing in disguise. This essay I just spent the past 10 minutes analyzing. It's not the best one that I've ever read. Honestly, it's not even top 10%. But the reason I wanted to share this one with you guys is to show that 1, you don't need to write the greatest Common App essay in existence in order to get into your dream school, and 2, your weaknesses can totally be transformed into superpowers. It's all a matter of perspective. Have a question about writing a Common App essay or applying to college in general? Leave it in the comment section below. I read every single one. Before you go, I have 4 presents for you, my dear virtual little sibling. If you're looking for professional help editing your Common App essay to perfection, check out elevated.school/edit-my-essay. You can use this code YouTube15 to get 15% off your first edit. My second present is our new essay brainstorming tool. It took us months to build, and this year it's 100% free. Link in the comment section below. My third present is this playlist here, where I break down the other winning Common App essay templates and formulas, which have helped our students get into every single top 20 American college year after year. And my fourth and final present is a video of me breakdancing. Thanks for staying until the end. Until next time, peace.